The wind in the pines, gather close now, children. The fire's warm, but the wind's cold breath still creeps through these old logs. Let me tell you a story from long ago, before your mothers were born, before even I had these silver hairs. It was the summer of 1953, in the quiet town of Ridgetree, nestled between pine forests and whispering hills. I was 16 then, all legs and clumsy hands, helping my Uncle Micah maintain the grounds of a derelict manor at the edge of town. It was called the Bellingham House. Abandoned for decades, the place was a ghost long before people claimed it was haunted. The townsfolk wouldn't go near it, said it was cursed. But Uncle Micah, always with a pipe in his mouth and debts on his back, said curses didn't pay, and so he took the job. And I followed. From the first day, there was something wrong with the wind there. It didn't blow like it did anywhere else. It whispered. Not through the trees, but in them. As if each pine held a voice from long ago, groaning and sighing in the night. The manor stood like a forgotten monument. The gates hung crooked. The drive was cracked and consumed by weeds. Its windows, too many to count, glinted like dark eyes watching. The roof sagged on one side, and the entire building seemed to lean, like it was slowly sinking back into the earth. Something about it felt buried. I didn't believe in ghosts back then. I wish I had. The basement door we started with the garden. Uncle Micah handed me hedge shears and pointed to a tangle of brambles swallowing an old stone path. It led to a dry fountain, green with moss and filled with bones, animal, I hoped. The day was hot, the sun high, but the air around the house never warmed. That's when I found the first thing. A doll, porcelain, broken, buried under the roots of a rosebush. Her eyes were painted blue, but they seemed watching. Her mouth was slightly open, as if frozen mid-scream. And children, I swear, when I turned my back, I heard the sound of tiny laughter, like breath caught in a teacup. Inside the house, the air was thick and still. Uncle Micah lit lanterns as we moved room to room. Cobwebs hung like curtains, and the walls sagged with damp. We passed a study with rotting books and a sitting room where the furniture was covered in dusty sheets. But the worst part was the basement door. It was iron, reinforced, chained, and locked with 3 padlocks. "Don't touch that," Uncle Micah said. His voice wasn't gruff like usual. It was scared. "They sealed that for a reason." "But who?" I asked. He didn't answer. Later that night, while I lay in my cot in the upstairs bedroom, I dreamed of the doll. She stood on the staircase, pointing down into darkness. And behind her, something moved in the shadows, something large, slow, and breathing. When I woke, the air smelled like old smoke, and the room was colder than it had any right to be. The cries beneath the floor, we continued working through the week. Each day, something new, something wrong. One morning we found a portrait of the Bellingham family. Father, mother, 4 children. But their faces had been gouged out with something sharp. All except the youngest daughter. Her face was untouched, but her eyes had been painted blue, like the doll's. The crying started on the 5th day. It began in the walls, soft, like a baby left alone in the cold. I thought I was losing my mind, but Uncle Micah heard it too. He'd sit in the parlor with his hands over his ears, muttering, "It's the past. It's just the past." But the past doesn't move your tools in the night. The past doesn't leave muddy footprints on the ceiling. One night, I was awakened by the sound of footsteps. I crept down the hall, heart pounding. At the top of the stairs, I saw Uncle Micah, just standing, staring down into the dark. He didn't turn when I called his name, just whispered, "They're still down there." I asked him again about the basement. "You ever wonder why the Bellinghams vanished?" he whispered. "Whole family, poof, all in one night. No signs of struggle, no blood, just gone." That night, I found the locks undone, not broken, undone. The thing in the cellar I should have run. But curiosity, children, is a wicked thing. I crept down the stairs with a lantern in hand. The wooden steps groaned beneath my weight, and with every step, the air grew colder. A sharp, acrid smell burned my nose, rot mixed with sulfur. The basement was vast, larger than the house should have allowed. The walls were lined with mirrors, cracked, warped, reflecting everything wrong. In the center was a circle drawn in ash, and in that circle sat the doll. Only she wasn't broken anymore. She turned her head slowly, and her painted lips curled. "I missed you," she whispered. But the voice, it wasn't a child's. It was many voices, speaking at once. Men, women screaming, laughing, sobbing. I backed away and hit something solid. I turned. It wasn't a wall, it was tall. Taller than any man. No eyes. Just a slit for a mouth, stretching ear to ear, filled with rows of tiny, writhing tongues. It didn't move. It didn't need to. Its presence was enough to freeze the soul. The mirrors showed it behind me from every angle. Taller, wider, more wrong. I ran. I don't remember how I got out. I only remember waking up outside, the sun rising, my boots soaked in blood that wasn't mine. Uncle Micah was gone. Ashes and whispers. The authorities searched, of course. They found my uncle's tools, his coat, but no body. They questioned me, and I told them about the basement. When they returned, the house was empty. The basement door was gone. Not just open, gone, like it had never existed. The town said he ran. I knew better. The house was condemned, then boarded up. But even through wood and iron, the wind still whispered. And in that whisper, I heard my name. I moved far from Ridgetree. I never married. Never had children until much later. Never built a home near trees. Never touched dolls. And I never ignored the wind. But you ask why I tell you this now. Because this morning, I found this by your sister's bed. He reaches into his coat and pulls out a small porcelain doll, eyes painted blue. She says she didn't put it there. And children, she says it called her name last night. I've locked it in the shed. But already, I hear it laughing. Return to Ridgetree, you see. I thought the past was buried. I believed distance would keep me safe. But evil like that, it doesn't forget. It doesn't forgive. And it always comes back home. I went back to Ridgetree 2 weeks ago. I needed to see the land where Bellingham House once stood. But the forest had grown over it, or so it seemed. There was a clearing, perfectly round, where nothing grew. In the center, a small patch of black soil. I knelt and brushed it aside. Ash. Cold, decades old. Then I saw the prints, tiny footprints, circling the patch. Pressed deep into the earth like they'd been made yesterday. And in the wind, she said my name. The twist of the tongs last night, I dreamed again. The doll stood in your room. She didn't smile this time. She screamed. Her mouth opened wide, unhinged, and all the voices poured out, screaming for help, for release. One voice I recognized. Uncle Micah. He's still there, children, trapped with them. And they want more. I've kept this from your parents, from your grandmother. But I can't anymore. You need to understand. Tonight, if you hear the wind speak your name, don't answer. If you see the doll, don't touch it. If you dream of the Bellingham house, wake yourself before she smiles. Because once she smiles, it's too late. The fire dies, the fire pops and cracks. Grandfather Elias stands slowly, staring into the flames. I've told you all I can. I've passed on the warning. It's your turn now. He turns to leave, but pauses at the door. Oh, and if you find ash in your shoes tomorrow morning, don't come looking for me.